problem is he is safe as can be. A firing squad watching halfway to fuse already. Coke's gone up. They've got to get in there. Do a Jason Bourne on that.
Oh dear. Almost slipped the net, but he's just farming. Shares a little bit of light armor, but Nivera just enjoying himself. Lovely confidence booster there for him. The Prime Gaming flawless.
Starting to hit their stride now. We have a tie game for a piece here on Haven.
OMEN is a very good opping agent, and I think a lot of people are too caught up in the fact that if you don't have a get out of jail free card like Jed or Chamber or Yoru, that you can't op, and those people are wrong. I think the op is a very strong weapon, and if in the right hands, in the right agents, I think that it can work. And it's funny because you can op on every agent. We saw Energy use Astra the other day. I think Nivera tried to use Astra as well. Regardless, I think that Nivera is one of the best opping players in the game. In this series against FPX, I think he was like 15-4 in like first bloods and first stats or something, and against Loud, he had a really good ratio as well. In this video, we're going to be showing you that opting on OMEN, especially OMEN, is very good and very strong, and having an op in general on your team, even without like a duelist like a Jet or Chamber, it's still very strong. In this first clip, we're going to be looking at a round between FPX and KC, obviously, Carmine Corp, and this is on Haven. Now, Carmine Corp is starting off like sort of like in a mid default. You got the Cypher camera in the window, you got the knife, you got the Fade Haunt in mid. Pretty good mid control here, plus an Omen Smoke for front B to threaten some form of lurk. So you see Viper come on over, she's watching this and whatnot. So once they take mid, they understand that how Haven works, right? Once you take mid, the defenders are probably going to try and leave somebody posted up here, or have like some form of trap set up over towards A, so that they can stack like this whole other half of the map, right? So they're coming back to reclear A, and how they reclear it is actually pretty strong. If you look at the minimap, we have OMEN from FPX and Fade set up here in a pretty good crossfire, and their plan is when KC decides to go reclear a lobby, they're going to use this utility and fight, right? They're going to run into this big pinch, they're going to fight, they're going to get a bunch of kills, and this is where Nivera comes into play. This is why you want an opera on your team when you're trying to do things like reclearing A. So the Fade Dog's going to go out, Fade Dog goes out, whatever. FPX waits like a second, they throw the OMEN blind, boom, Nivera gets the first kill. Now this is actually a really strong opping position on top of these like ledges, holding into short, because a really strong place that people love to play, especially Chambers, love to play in short so that they can hold this angle, try and get one, get out, and play the retake, right? But if you have an opera set up on this angle, they have to worry about the different elevation levels. They have to worry about where you are exactly on this ledge, and by posting up somebody short, if you just throw like a piece of utility down this way, you can set up your opera on this angle and they can watch this while you guys are working up long. So this is a really strong position if you plan on opping on this map, especially on attack. So OMEN gets one. Fade Dog's running in. Now they throw their flashes, they throw the dogs, they're trying to they're creating a bunch of pressure over towards A. So 4 versus 5, they can kind of do whatever they want. They can go back into B because they still have the Cypher camera holding mid, plus these tripwires, but they decide, yo, we're gonna Fade Haunt, let's go into A. We still have the OMEN op, right? Something to keep in mind too, when you have an op, you want to buy a shorty because you want to make sure you have something for these close range engagements. Now, when you're swinging out into sight, it's always nice to have somebody like Nivera posted up on the CT angle, because you don't want the enemies funneling into sight while you're trying to deal with these guys back sight, right? So it's really nice to have, as an attacker, to have somebody posted up all the way back here on your line so that you guys can wrap the sight, focus on this guy, and if somebody does swing out spawn, you have an operator posted up on the angle. So again, very good first round from Nivera, and I think that OMEN opping is something that we're going to see more of in these future games. So in that last clip, you saw how the OMEN op is really good, or I guess the attacking op, I should say. It was really good at holding back aggression and really good at playing mind games with the defense. If you pick up an op on attack, it's going to discourage the defensive team from wanting to be proactive around the map, taking map control, because they're always worried that they might run into that operator, right? And then throw their life away, and it's just really hard to play against because you need to use that extra utility if you want to be proactive. And that's not something you really want to do. You want to save it for the retake or save it for another situation, right? But you're going to see here how Nivera punishes the defense for trying to push up into these areas, and why opping on attack is really good. Now, if you look at the minimap, we have a three-person default over towards A main, Fade Haunt, Cascade, all that jazz. And Nivera, as you saw right there, was posted up exactly where, if you're a Killjoy player, Killjoys love to place their turret, right? Killjoys always put this turret like right past this wall on the ramp, sort of facing out this way. So it'll face like right here. It'll face out towards Double Door, face out here. It'll let you know if the enemy team pushes up in the mid. Then you have a Cypher trip over towards B main plus an Omen Smoke. So this is a pretty good spread default, right? And Nivera's posted up on this op. His teammates don't really need his utility. All he has to do is throw a smoke and then hold this angle, hold mid control for his team while they scale up, right? But like I said, an attacking op is really good at punishing this proactive play that you see here coming from the defense in FPX, right? So they try to take mid control, but again, the guy gets opt. Now, because they just got opt, they're like, okay, we're still going to regress, right? We're just going to smoke this guy off. We're going to try and force him into taking an unfavorable fight, because that's how you play against ops, right? You want to smoke them off. You want to use flashes, drones. In this case, you see a smoke, and we're trying to make him uncomfortable, right? We want to make sure, we want to close the distance between him and the op so that maybe we can punish him and try and kill him and get that trade, right? The smoke goes up for mid window. Fade decides to walk in and kills the KO. Now, like I mentioned before, this is why you want to buy a shorty when you have an op, because if people do try and close the distance on you, that's what the shorty is good for. It's good for pulling it out, hopping the smoke, getting yours, and getting out, right? Just like with the operator. He got his, got out, and it hops back in the smoke with the shorty, gets his. It's really hard to play against, and I've even heard talks that people think that the shorty needs to get nerfed, and I don't know about that, but it is a strong weapon, and if you are opping, I highly suggest you pick this up. But regardless, Karma and Corp go on to win the round. They end up hitting A, but again, this wasn't made possible unless Nivera's opping, and he did a very good job of holding down mid. All right, so finally, we're going to see some defensive opping plays, and I do think that Omen on defense can op really well. His TP is fast enough to where it can get him out of sticky situations and allow him to reposition and get out and try and go for more, right? We've seen Omen play top these boxes. He can try his, get out, TP out, get TP out into spawn, or if he wants to get greedy, he can TP behind screens and try and go for another. I've seen that before. You can TP over into heaven and then try and hold the heaven peak. There's a ton of things you can do with the Omen TP, and I do think it is very underutilized, but we're going to see some of it in this round. So KC, they decide to play a pretty spread defensive setup with Harbor and Cypher playing towards double door with the camera, spotting B long and double doors as well. Nivera is posted up on A main, but he just got pushed off from the enemy's cascade. And you had KO starting over towards B with the knife and then decides to rotate back once the Cypher camera picks this up. Camera's holding a bunch of map control, and the Omen op is holding A main pretty well. Now, like I mentioned, Omen's playing backside, trying to see if somebody's getting ready to jump spot or just walk into A main or walk into a sight line, right? And like you're going to see this op's about to get a ton of value. So Skydog comes out, Nivera kind of ducks away, peeks after the dog, peeks out, gets his. They just saw him backside, right? So typically teams are going to try and dump utility backside to try and get this trade out. But because Omen has his TP, he could TP over into Secret, get out, and now he's perfectly okay, right? So he goes for the re-smoke, smokes off A main so his teammates can hold it. But you're going to see in a second, I'm going to skip ahead just a smidge. They decide to go for an A split, right? Sky decides to hold A main control. These two decide to come back into Art. They have a Harbor ult, one of the most undervalued, I think, ults in the game. And he decides, yo, let's rip it. Let's split A. Let's get this. They get the opening kill. This round is still really winnable. Now, Omen is still posted up in Secret, posted up on A main. He has a kind of a decent crossfire with him and KO. So this is a pretty good play. Now, the Harbor ult goes off. Now, if you're a regular opper, it's extremely hard for you to get a shot off like this because you're constantly getting pinged by this like big lightning bolt, right? And you just saw right there, Nivera had to rush his shot and he had to move out of the way, otherwise he's gonna get stunned and get traded, right? But that doesn't mean that you can't still go for a shot. Now, the KO gets killed 3 versus 3. Nivera is in the middle of getting pinged by this lightning bolt that you're going to see in a second, but because he has his Omen TP and it's still good enough for him to get out, he gets the stun, he TPs behind the wall, and he's able to reposition and play his life and play for the retake. Now, that kill was huge. The round just went from a 3 versus 3 with a Viper and Harbor on the post line to a 3 versus 2. Huge kill from Nivera, and to have that confidence and ability to do that with Omen on an op is insane. Now, like I said, the op is extremely good at punishing people who try to get aggressive like this, and that's exactly what we see here again. A huge 3K, all kills coming from the operator, and being able to use his Shrouded Step, I think that's what it's called, to get out of these sticky situations is a skill that you don't see very often from these Valorant players, or from these Omen players, I should say, and it's really fun to watch. And yeah, I like it. I'm an Omen player, and I think I'm gonna bust out the op in some of my ranked games and do some of this because it looks fun. So, with that being said, hopefully you guys learned something from this. I know I did. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Pick up an op.